Hello, I'm Sarah Redshaw, Managing Editor for BabyCentre.co.uk, and today I have two very experienced and knowledgeable experts with me answering your questions on Soothers. Claire Byam-Cook, who's a trained nurse, midwife and author. Claire worked for several years at Queen Charlotte's Maternity Hospital in London and has also taught breastfeeding classes at an antenatal practice. She spent 23 years helping mothers who are struggling with breast or bottle feeding issues. And also joining me is Zoe Watson. She's a registered nurse and midwife with over 10 years experience, including home births, working on the high-risk delivery suite, as well as the antenatal and postnatal wards. She's also a consultant midwife at MAM, as well as a qualified hypnobirthing teacher and mum of two. Thank you so much both for joining me. We're here to discuss Soothers today, and we've asked the BabyCentre community for their questions and concerns. We're going to answer a few of them now on this video, and the ones that we don't get through today, I know you'll be answering in an article to accompany this video, and we'll link to that article below. Claire, I was just going to start with you. Can you tell me what are the benefits of a soother?
Well, there are lots of benefits. Soothers can be used for many reasons, but their main aim is to soothe a baby to sleep who's been fully fed and winded, but is still finding it hard to settle down to sleep. They can also be a brilliant source of comfort to a baby who's suffering from problems such as colic or reflux, and they can give a mum a much needed break if her baby keeps wanting to suck on her breast for comfort rather than because they're still hungry. Also, the Lullaby Trust states that soothers are thought to reduce the risk of sudden infant death, so that's a real good reason to use soothers. And finally, when you get to the point where your child no longer needs that extra comfort of sucking, it's much easier to remove a soother than a thumb, and this view is certainly backed up by the British Orthodontic Society.
And Zoe, what should you consider when you're choosing a soother?
So it's important to know that not all soothers are created equal, and it's important that you avoid one that's got a thick and round teat, okay? So there's an example here. And what you want to be going for is one that's got a thin and flexible teat, okay? So all of the MAM soothers are designed with orthodontists, and this is so that it helps to support baby's natural oral development, and it allows the baby's mouth to close. As you can see, with the thicker ones, babies can struggle to close their mouth, which can go on to prevent sort of their teeth coming down correctly and cause teeth misalignment. So always choose one that's been designed and orthodontic approved, as all the MAM ones.
Okay. And Claire, can you use a soother from birth?
Yes, I think it's fine to introduce a soother as soon as it becomes apparent that a baby needs that extra comfort and is unable to settle without one. But it is really important only to use a soother when the baby has had all their needs met. You shouldn't use it just to stop your baby crying when they're crying to tell you that they're still hungry.
One of the frequently asked questions from the BabyCentre community is, can soothers cause nipple confusion? And Claire, we've just heard you've worked for many years, over 20 years as helping people breast and bottle feed. What's your view on nipple confusion?
Well, I've seen absolutely no evidence that using soothers causes any problems. And I actually think that things like sore nipples or difficulty latching are existing problems just because the baby's struggling to latch on correctly. And I don't think it suddenly happens because the mum has started using a soother.
And Zoe, did you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, actually speaking from personal experience, the mum, both of my daughters ended up breastfeeding until actually just beyond two. And with both of them, I used soothers with them. And for me, it was never a feeding replacement. It was actually to give me a breather when I knew that they were fed and they were happy, just to help settle them. And actually sometimes practical reasons, like, if I had to get them in the car and drive, it was the little thing then that could keep them settled as I got from A to B. So I think they definitely have a place. And like Claire said, they can be really complementary to feeding as well, as long as they're used correctly.
And Zoe, what about premature babies? I just wanted to ask you, because I know you've been a midwife for many years and been on the high risk delivery suite and have cared for many babies who were born preterm. Can premature babies use soothers?
Yeah, absolutely. So what we know is that babies, when they are very premature, or if they are a term baby, that that they have been born and they're unwell, they can benefit eventually from the use of a soother, because these babies initially may not feed through breast or bottle, and they perhaps may be fed through a tube in their nose, or a special sort of get their nutrients from a special tube that goes into a blood vessel. So these babies can benefit from something called non-nutritive sucking.
What is non-nutritive sucking?
So non-nutritive sucking is a different type of suck that a baby will do as something like a soother. And it's different to the type of sucking they do at the breast or bottle. So when we are talking about prem babies or unwell babies, we know that sucking is a natural form of pain relief, and it can bring them a lot of comfort during perhaps an unpleasant procedure. We also know that non-nutritive sucking can help a baby calm themselves down, and it brings them a lot of comfort if they are distressed, which of course, when you've got a sick or a preterm baby, it's really important to preserve their energy. And we also know that babies who suck on a soother will perhaps go on to feed orally much quicker, because they are developing these oral muscles that they need to use for feeding. So it has lots of benefits. So I would definitely urge anybody who has a prem baby or a poorly baby, if their baby's not already using a soother on the neonatal unit, just to have a chat with the nurses who are looking after their baby for a bit of advice about whether it's something that could benefit their child.
Thank you. That's so interesting. I had no idea about that. So thank you for sharing. And thanks both for joining me and providing your expertise. And as I said, there are more questions and answers below, which Claire and Zoe have provided some really detailed answers to. So do check out that article. Thank you.